Hi, it's Steve from Colorado Cars and Coffee, and I'm here with Mark today, and we're doing our very first Rides of the Rockies. It's a members video with their car, so we're going to learn more about Mark and his Ferrari 308 GTS.
Well, thank you, Steve. I appreciate the opportunity to talk about my 308. I love cars, and this is part of the hobby, so thank you for indulging me for a few minutes as we talk about my car. Welcome. My name is Mark. I love cars, I love Colorado, and I love coffee. So that's why I'm here talking about my 1985 Ferrari 308 GTS Quattrovalvole. And that really stands for 4 valves per cylinder. It's a 240 horsepower motor. It's got a 5-speed transmission, but it's a dog-leg. So on the first gear, you pull it towards you and down. And second would be just pop it up to second, and third, obviously. But the feeling from driving the car really comes from taking it up to about 6,000 to 7,000 RPM and then shifting gears. Even better if you are downshifting. So what you do is you heel and toe from third into second and pull right through an apex of a corner, and the car will just take you right through it. One of the reasons I own a 308 today is I've had other Ferraris in the past. I've had various other cars. The driving ability, the driving feeling on this car is very different. It doesn't have any driver aids, does not have power steering, no computers, so a lot of it is really how you push the car to its limits. There's no aids and so on. The sound is the other reason I have a 308. It's when you're revving through the RPMs, you're revving through the gears. There's very few cars that sound the way it sounds. The first 308 I purchased, actually I did test drive it. I bought it locally from a private owner, and I did get a chance to drive it before I bought it. This particular 308 I purchased on bringatrailer.com. So sight unseen, just from pictures and documentation, and I made the purchase. So one of the reasons when we talk about Ferraris in general, owning a Ferrari is just one of those things that it's a little different. It's a little fun. It's much more about a driving enthusiast, if you will. So I wanted to own a Ferrari. I didn't know I wanted to own a 308. So I started off with a 355. I owned a 355. Then I got a red 308. Then I got a red 355, and I came back to a 308. And the reason I came back to a 308 after I went through those gyrations of Ferraris is, one is the maintenance. It's a lot less of a financial burden. You can do a lot of the work yourself, and I think if you're able to drive it in the power band and just play with the car, it's got the performance that you really want in a Ferrari. Have you seen a 308? Have you seen the lines on a 308? That's the best part of the car. It looks fast even though it's sitting still. And it became real famous because of the TV show Magnum PI. That was a 308. It was a red. So anyway, just a combination of things that got me towards the 308. In terms of maintenance, this car really is not the horror stories you hear about. You always talk about Ferraris needing a big engine out service and things like that. The 308, you can actually get to the belts through the rear wheel. So you pull the rear wheel, you take the liner off, you can get to the belt. So from a maintenance standpoint, it's not not that big a deal like you may have heard in the past. In terms of modifications for this particular car, I don't plan on any at this point. I could potentially drop the car about 3/4 of an inch just to improve the stance. I think that's going to help me with some of my driving techniques and things like that. The V8 is actually mounted transversely, so the balance on the car is almost 1-to-1 from a ratio standpoint. Like I said, not a lot of horsepower, but if you manage the motor through the power band between, say, 3,000 and 6,000 RPM, it's a lot of fun. So the Ferrari 308 GTS, the GTS is really Gran Turismo. The S is Spider. Spider in Ferrari really means removable hardtop. So it's not a very stiff car. It's not like a GTB, which is really built more for the track, for you to go out and play in the twisties and so on. So this is not as stiff, but if you like sunshine, you like driving with the top open, and all the sounds that you get from the motor actually get amplified when the top is off. So that's the fun of owning a GTS. You know, one of my favorite experiences really is going through the twisties in the mountains. So for example, doing Loveland Pass and something like that. On a day when the road is open, there's no one out. Just going from corner to corner, being apexing a turn without really turning your steering wheel after you've dialed it in. You know, downshifting, dial it in, go through a corner, and you do that corner after corner. That is a lot of fun, especially when the top is off. You hear the engine, you're going through the gyrations, you're revving up, revving down, and just flying through corners. Really, it's not flying through corners, but it's really, you know, you squeeze on the throttle and you pull right through. So the other thing about Italian driving that I want to cover is, you know, when you're driving the car, you're taking it through the power band and you're downshifting, it's kind of like eating Dale lasagna while drinking a glass of Chianti. How all the flavors come together? That's the vision you get when you drive this car. So this particular car it's a unique color. It's called Prugna, which really stands for plum in Italian. I think Ferrari built about 150 to 200 that were shipped to the United States in that color. So it's a fairly rare color in a Ferrari, in a factory Ferrari. A lot of people buy reds, yellows, blacks, but Prugna is fairly rare. So the 308 and the 328 family of Ferraris actually have pop-up headlights. So in the daytime when you're out playing around, it really is down. When you want to, you know, when you want the pop-up, when you want lights, when you need lights, you can throw the pop-up. It's a little bit of a unique look, if you will. You know, I don't particularly like that, but you know, it's part of the car. It's this whole, you know, there's a whole dynamic of the car. It probably helps the aerodynamics of the vehicle when the lights are off. From an enthusiast standpoint, I enjoy a lot of different car events. I enjoy going to Cars and Coffee, going to different car shows. I do go to Bandamere from time to time. Track events are a lot of fun. One of my favorite events, though, is driving old cars for like 2 to 3 days straight. So there's a drive that we do with a group of friends. It's actually put on by a company from Canada that hosts a drive locally. And we have about 30 cars, 35 cars, 40 cars. I think one year was up to 50 cars. And we spend 3 days driving around. We don't know what we're doing for 3 days, but we show up at the starting day, we get our information, and we're out driving for 3 days. A lot of fun. It's old cars. It's cars built before 1979. So we will have breakdowns. We'll get together, we'll fix cars, and then we'll keep going. So that really is my favorite event. You know, as Enzo Ferrari said, it's not what's behind you that matters. So have fun. Ciao.